and it's a new reason. Victorious one, we go in and beat them down. Down, 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 down. Although they call me a name, Folly, he go make them shame, shame, shame. Natasha feeling it, oh, oh, oh. Dr. Israel feeling it, eh, eh, eh. Terran Space from Bethel, oh yeah, yo. Zorisha, Hackett, Joel Nazi, Samson come with the posse, and Sonny Craig feeling it, oh oh. Abby Taylor, Darrell Spring, when Clacky down in Lowlands. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bimbi dambare, bidi dambare, PDP.
PDP victory. The road now run, the journey rough. We foot strong and our skin tough. So many dots have been thrown at us. Real Spartans never give up. Yeah, yeah. The winds of change blowing your way. Bust off those chains. It's a brand new day. It's not a dream. It is for real. You have to believe. PDP victory, yeah. PDP victory. Tobagonians are born fighters, carry the genes of our ancestors. You change hands so many times, mama. To get your freedom, you have to fight back. I see the many scars upon your back.
I found that Tobago gets more done when Tobago votes for Tobago-centric party that does not have a base in Trinidad. Because Tobago has to mind Tobago's business now. We have not mind our business for the last 21 years. We're minding the business now.
PDP victory, yeah. PDP victory. Your enemies you shall see no more. Tobagonians will live better off. Better opportunities for the poor. Victimization it will be no more. The winds of change blowing your way. Bust off those chains. It's a brand new day. It's not a dream.
Good morning, Tobago, sorry. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning, the diaspora, all the viewers, young, the not so young, and the older young. Good morning. Jimmy, how are you this morning?
I am well. Good morning, Tobago. How are you feeling in your body? A couple more days to election. Exactly how much days, Dwayne?
I'm so excited. The number can't come to mind, but I believe it's 5 more days or 6 more days.
6.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that. But I want to welcome you guys to PDP Mornings. We again run every day of the week, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. This morning we had quite a bit of discussion for you. However, things didn't go as planned. So we are going to be rapporting with you this morning, and I hope you guys could make the live interesting. Share the live, because this is about educating, this is about empowering, this is about exposing the truths surrounding us at this particular time, right? So good morning to everyone. So Jamie, what is the latest with you?
Well, to be honest, guys, you know, the election fever has really taken Tobago by storm right now. Is the big trucks, is the platforms, is the talks, is the gutter rubbish, is all the craziness on Facebook, is all the campaigning taking place, and it, you know, I try to not be drawn in and sucked into it.
Yeah.
I kind of, you know, slipping a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. But
keep it in.
You know, I slip in a little bit because, you know, sometimes, you know, as a Tobagoan, and you hear some things and you want to know, but where these people living? They living in the same Tobago, like, but we have different perspectives. But other than that, I am blessed. I am remembering every day that we are a blessed people. We are a chosen people, and despite we may not see a reflection of that, I'm going to stay strong and firm in my convictions that we have a great journey ahead, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yes,
you know.
Yes.
So that's good.
Yeah.
What about you?
I good. You know, I just want to share with Tobago some issues surrounding us outside of the politics a little bit. According to Liz Williams, we have a report saying that one of our very own from Belgarden, I believe, and Antonio Bacchus Bana, also known as Bana, was shot. One of 3 persons or 6 persons shot in Laventil yesterday evening or last night. And the last information I got was that he was warded. He did a surgery, and I believe he is being observed at this time. So keep him in your prayers, guys. You know, all are we is one. You know, so that's just a bit of information pertaining to that. And
Bana is loved by many.
Yes,
he's quite a
that
character.
family is actually a very talented family. I went to
quite
school with some of the younger ones. They're very talented. They could dance, they could sing. They're into construction. You know, I like kind of.
And more than that, you know, he's a father. He's someone that has such independent thought. You know, and he has really shifted consciously, because we have had a lot of conversations. You know, just by the way, conversations.
You talking to everybody?
Yeah, that is just me, you know.
Yeah.
And he really was perpetuating a kind of internal belief of strength. He knows that he's a king, so I know he's gonna pull through this thing, because I know he's destined for great things, and I know it's not time for him to go as yet, because we need all the strength, all the lions right now to activate. You know, so I'm sending out all that positive energy to all of them to heal, recuperate, and get on the safe track.
Yes, and I believe that he will recover. Please continue to lift him up in your prayers. Lift up the family in your prayers, because, you know, these things are traumatic, right? So, back to the quintessentials. You know, we are, sorry to be so abruptly, we are in our election period, Jamie, and, you know, for some reason, I get the sense that, you know, the voter turnout for a very long time has been low. Not where it's supposed to be or should be. And what do you think accounts for that, Jamie?
I mean, a lot of persons, when you really talk to people on a personal level, have really lost faith in the system. It's not even about the parties itself, but just the whole concept of democracy and what it reflects for them. And, you know, over time, people have, you know, become disenfranchised because they have seen, witnessed good people gone in and then convert into selfish, myopic, you know, individuals. So it creates a lot of question in people's mind about, why should I even vote? Why should I even participate in something like that? At the end of the day, I am not even seeing a betterment as individuals to the person that's represented. So it's almost like, this is a curse, you know. And the thing is, the reality is, when people not seeing a reflection of themselves in something, it's difficult to participate in it. It's difficult to own it. It's difficult to see, you know. And some people would retract and say, you know what, I don't want no part of that, because it goes against my belief system.
Yes.
You know?
Because inclusivity is very pivotal, you know, and you're correct. because the premise on which I am here, or I would have gone to school for so long, is because I want to see my contributions come to fruition. And I think the consensus on the ground, especially with the youth, is that I don't see myself in this. I can't see myself.
Scope of things,
yes, and we hear false notions, especially around this time, that the youths are lazy. And where that might be true, we have to look at the dichotomy. The dichotomy being what fuels that laziness, because the culture of Tobagonians is not one of slothfulness.
That's right.
We want our own. Just you go around Tobago, anywhere in Tobago, and see how many Tobagonians are renting. Is they in the minority?
But actually, a lot of Tobagonians are renting now more than ever. No more than ever.
But I'm speaking to the culture that has been lost. And I'm saying that Tobagonians like their own thing, right? They
these are proud people,
Very proud. Very proud.
These are proud people.
And I said I think it was last week, that it's not that Tobagonians are fools, or they just sit down and take things for granted. It's just that we are very patient. And I think that for a long time, the reason why what really accounts for the low voter turnout, as you would have said, is because they can't participate. Why am I investing in this? No return on investment. And that is a sad reality.
And the thing is, when you look at where we are in 2021, and you look at the campaigning, what is presented to us as a campaign, which is meetings, talk, big truck, noise, move along, and there is no real conversation, there is no real debate on the issues. So the reality is the people who we say we ought to serve is still neglected from the whole conversation altogether. So it's really not about the people. It reflects as if it's only about power.
Exactly.
Now, how do we shift from that? From when persons have been acculturized to hearing the music truck, because then when you hear the music truck, it reminds you of carnival, and it creates this euphoria.
It appeals to the culture.
It appeals to the culture. So what has happened is you're seeing that it appeals to your senses. It triggers some old memory within you, and then you respond and you react to that. And that's why you would find, like, during the election time, like even me, I started to become more vocal about certain things which I would not have been before, because there is this energy, this vibration, this frequency that is taking place, and it is affecting each and every one of us. But is it the frequency that we want? Is it a lower vibration, or is it a higher vibration?
I feel I want to sing Marshall's song.
No, I mean, it real. It real, because if we don't take it up a notch, then we will always be operating at this low level, where we just talking minuscule things. But we're in a country with damaged, hurt people with a past. And like I said before, you were saying that, we are patient people. And we have been taught that. That is the reality. We used to be a strong, vibrant, active, outspoken, black is black, white is white, white can't be black, black can't be white kind of people. We have been shifted from who we really are, and that is where the conflict is. We don't know who we are anymore. We're trying to fit in the context of the relationship of Trinidad, and then we're trying to fit in around the world where we've seen everybody moving forward, and we feel like if we stuck, we're pivoting in a circle, and it's like, where do we go from here? How do we move? Who to believe? Who to trust? So there's a sense of hopelessness.
Right, and I definitely agree with that. And I also want to add, though, that I think there are issues, and I think that the only time when by and large these issues come to the fore is around election time. And notwithstanding that there might have been voices throughout the period before election highlighting these issues, but the only time they are addressed, the only time they are given any priority is during this time. And I think it's an indictment, especially on those who are called now the incumbent. And it's a sad thing. And you see it manifested in the operations around election time,
Yeah.
I dabble in a little economics, and there's a term called that we love to talk about in terms of making our economy viable, is productivity.
Yeah.
Is the most productivity you would see on this island, you know, in a specific time.
Yeah, election time.
And you know, for those who have the eye for it, would know that that is not feasible.
Yeah.
Because when you concentrate and spend so much money around this time only, right? There is no prudence. You're not prudent with that money. You know, you run the risk of, you know, having less returns on investment because you would not take a time to spend it and to even strategize as to how you are going to implement these projects, these ideas, these, you know, and it worries me, right? And some may argue and say, Dwayne, you just here because, you know, a Fali, or you just here because, you know, you use opposition. But no, I am here because I went to school, right? And I have been in a place and I've tasted what development looked like, albeit one side of the coin, one side of development, which is infrastructural development, which is only one part of development. Nonetheless, Tobago is still lagging behind. Yeah. And I think, you know, the reason why I'm here, people, is because, you know, I have a big gripe with where we are and where we could go, and where we have, and the lag. Trinidad, although we glorify Trinidad, we grew up glorifying Trinidad.
We were taught to glorify Trinidad.
Exactly. Yeah. We go down for Christmas. We get the best deals. We come back up. I get this from Trinidad. I went Jimmy Abood. Yeah. I went to Bang Bang. You know, I went to Trin City Mall.
You see the glitz and the lights and the activity and the buzzing and
But what about Tobago? Yeah. You understand? And then we lose sense of ourselves. And I kind of losing my train of thought. But I was making the point that, you know, Trinidad, although we glorify Trinidad is lagging behind where it's supposed to be.
Well, correct.
So just imagine where Tobago is. Yeah. If Trinidad is lagging behind, because we are all third world or developed, or what we call developing countries on the global scale.
Yep. But here the thing, there's a shift. There is this complex part of it that we need to look at. Trinidad, though more developed, has greater capacity in terms of the private sector. Therefore, you see where their potential of expansion is also limited.
Right.
But with Tobago, us being underdeveloped, we have so much opportunity and options to now be able to take a strategic step in moving forward. Right. Because when you look at the world around us, like I tell people all the time, they say we are a third world country, but I don't believe that. Yeah. I really don't believe that. Here, why? When you go to, like I was listening to a documentary in Germany, and the farmers right now, the country is actually scaling down on mass farming because they have seen how much that has crippled the economy in terms of quality, in terms of large companies monopolizing the market and not allowing these smaller entities to be able to grow. Yes. So what they are doing now is scaling down the large farm and now bring it down to a small local where each person will be able to monetize, participate, have some growth. Yes. We, on the other hand, here, trying to do what they have done and failed, rather than we try to create and observe the trends, understand that, okay, everybody now have a fake beach in the middle of the city, fake sun, trying to create this new green. We already green. Right. So when you look at the type of infrastructure and development that you're seeing taking place, that is long time, old models. Right. So we have the opportunity now to start afresh. We have the opportunity now to
without even reinventing the wheel.
Without reinventing the wheel, because we are. That is just it.
Exactly.
And when I say we are, I mean that we are everything and more. So when we look at how we live, when we look at the simple culture, when we take for granted the religion, like for example, the Baptist religion and their practices, you know, when they would have their bush baths and all these things, we take that for granted. That is marketable.
It is marketable.
That is seriously marketable.
And you're treading on tourism, which is
Correct.
one of my babies.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, and you're correct. When Dr. Vanna James was here last week, he spoke to us and tell us that he sat with this guy, the guy who was responsible for invitation,
Yeah, I can't remember the
industrialization by invitation. So Arthur Lewis. And
he's the economist, eh?
not really. I'm aspiring to be, but we are trying to. And industrialization by invitation is where you move from the plantation model to a more industrialized, mechanized model. Nothing was wrong with that. However, we as a small island developing state have been trying that model. That is the nature of Trinidad's market, industrialized. However, Tobago is very much different. Because we sell tourism.
Right.
And if we want to preserve what we have, we can't go the route of industrialization by invitation. We try to do that with tourism, we try to do that with agriculture, and it would fail, because if it's one time, we must not demonize the word small is in these things.
Yeah.
Because ecotourism, and I hear many persons on the other sides, talking about ecotourism, and I'm shaking my head, and sometimes tears come to me because they don't understand.
They don't even understand what ecotourism is.
They don't.
Yeah.
It's just a word being bantered around the place.
Correct.
And there's no real, implementation of the concept of ecotourism.
That's right.
Ecotourism dictates that you preserve your environment, but you want to cut down trees and
you want to clear the whole of the mangrove and the wetlands to put a 5-star hotel because it has a name.
Exactly. And if you look at that model that we've been trying to adopt, Magdalena has been failing.
Yep.
Look at this during this pandemic. Who have been keeping up the tourists that come here? The small eco lodges, the small man who have the little villa.
That's who winning right now.
Airbnb, we call it.
Yeah.
But in ecotourism, we call it eco lodges.
Yeah.
And and ecotourism caters not just for the Europeans who have the big money and about to retire and want to enjoy some time here, but they target even the everybody.
Man that just looking
even
for
people
inspiration,
like me,
yes.
And you who just come out from school with a little boyfriend.
They just need a change of space.
I might have about $600 to spend on accommodation for about a month, but don't mind splurging on an experience.
Yeah.
Ecotourism offers that, and I think for a long time, we have been, just taking Tobago for granted.
We've been copying.
Exactly, and to use the example of the spiritual or the religious aspect of it, ecotourism sells spirituality. We did a case study somewhere in one of those small islands or small places where those the indigenous peoples there, and
Panama, these places, Honduras.
Right, and I can't remember the name of the place. I'll get it and I'll post it later on Facebook for you guys. They have a wall, right? It's a monument, right? The people come and spend $400 to either climb the wall or to just look at it. You can't touch it, right? All you have to do is participate, and the people in the area accommodate you, they provide food. You're part
embedded within the community, so you're experiencing the culture.
So we need to sell that. In my village in Glamorgan on a Saturday, I'm Adventist by the way, right? You dare not see a shop open, and it's not that somebody tell them, don't open your shop on a Saturday. No, it's that is the culture, and there are people who are looking for that, right? There are people who will come in to look to dance, to eat a roast corn by the Saturday.
To learn how to wine.
That sells. Exactly. And the problem with tourism in Tobago is that they have not packaged it well.
Yeah.
They have not marketed market it well at all.
And you see, when you have people who don't know themselves, who don't value themselves, who don't love the island, but rather just love the career or the
winning,
or I am a lawyer, I'm a doctor. Just the accolades, the hangs, these little hangs that they have on their name, it moves away and shifts away from identity. And that's why you find a lot, you hear me keep talking and bringing up the question of identity all the time. Because when you do not know who you are, you do not know the direction that you are heading in. You don't value yourself. You don't value what you bring to the table. And then you tend to want to duplicate. We have had secretaries of tourism who have never had a sea bath in over, maybe since they was a child. We have had secretaries in tourism who prefer to travel the world rather than to experience their own island. So how can you promote your own island when you don't even know your own island? When the very things that we offer do not attract you? How can you promote your own country when you are not part and parcel of our country? And you see, like, it's the simple steps. You start looking and seeing a trend in Tobago where a lot of women now start to go natural. They start carrying their own hair. These little strides are strides of being able to recognize, this is who I am. I am comfortable with who I am. This makes me strong. This doesn't weaken me. So I don't need to have the bundles and the straight hair and the weave and all the time to represent who I am. So there are subtle changes that you're seeing taking place. But then when you look on the grander scale of things, persons who put themselves in position to represent you, they are not seeing a reflection. There is no reflection. So when my daughter looks at the TV and she looks at the persons that represent or speak in the cabinet, she doesn't see herself. And because she doesn't see herself, then the question is, where do I fit in all of this? Because I am not seeing me here. And this goes back to the reason why a lot of persons, young persons, don't participate in this thing. Because they're not seeing a reflection. And I'll give you another example. Right? Look now. And I'm getting personal because we ought to recognize these things and how detrimental it is. We have a chief secretary, a young man, right? Always well dressed, always well groomed. The same as Fadi, always well dressed, always well groomed. But there's a difference in the presentation of the individual. And I'm doing this contrast because I need us to understand the impact it have on young men. When you have a young man that is well articulated, well dressed, astute, it makes you as a young man who may not have these qualities question yourself and say, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I could never reach there because I am not poised like that. There is no humility in the presentation of the individual, putting aside from on the air, we're talking about on the ground. There is no change. But when you look at Fali, there's a difference. There's a contrast difference. Even though he's astute, well-dressed, the man does talk like a Tobagonian. You just hear the Tobagonian in him. You just hear the individual. You just see a person, an identity. So he may not be perfect, but I could still look at him and see a person. No, what that does to the older generation is that it stimulates them. That's what they know. So you have a comparison taking place in the community. Why my son couldn't be like this one? Why you couldn't be like that? Why you couldn't, get this nice job or be the chief secretary or get into politics? And then you had the conflict happening in the home now because why? My son didn't reach up to that standard. But then when you take leadership position like that, you have a responsibility to influence the man on the ground. To influence the man on the ground, you have to be the man on the ground. If you're not the man on the ground and you always like this, like a pin, with no real identity, impersonating somebody else, no reflection of you, how can you influence the youth? How can you bridge that gap to make them know that you are capable? You could be here. You don't need to be like me to be here. You just need to have a voice. You need to have a plan. You need to have objectives. You need to have goals. And you need to work towards your goals. And you don't need to take the same path that I took. You need to take your own path. How do you connect that? There is no connection. So that is why you find there's a group that would continue to excel, and there's the others that will just be left in the corner. Because I don't feel like I'm not part and parcel of anything. I can't create change. I can't influence change because I don't look like the change makers. But who is the change makers?
It's the people that we don't see.
It's the people we don't see, the men on the block. That's why I love to have conversations with the men on the block. That is my boys. So I just been with them on the block, lying and talking with them because I want to know what they're talking about. I want to know what they're thinking and what they're feeling. And you'll be surprised to hear the kind of conversation and depth. They're more adept than the people who try to present themselves. And that is the reality. And they just be laughing at the kind of conversations that you just hear these politicians walking around and telling them, just be laughing at them. And be like, I'm going to take the money and take the room. I don't have time with them. Them no business but me. And when you have a young people taking up the mantle of transforming Tobago, right? And positioning themselves as a reflection of the change. And they're not even aware. They're not even conscious of these little things. Then what's the point? What is the point of you being there? You're there to sell yourself.
Right.
But it's not about you.
Right. And, I can't stay away from the natural bias that people might, attribute to what we are saying.
Yeah.
Right? However, the Bible says, by a man you shall know his fruits. Apples don't bear figs.
Correct.
But, and I'm saying that to say that, when you look at people like Farley, who, is always on the ground, and he always is on the ground, as you would see from time to time. You see somebody who really is, trying to change the narrative, trying to challenge the status quo, trying to, to redefine, who we are, or not even redefine, but to really remind us of who we are. And sometimes when you look at those people, you really you juxtapose them against what is.
Yeah.
There's a stark difference, and you need eyes beyond eyes to see that, and ears beyond ears to hear it, and a perception, divine perception, to see the stark difference. But the point is, whether you may like Farley or not, right? Whether you may like the other candidates or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't get to choose your message or your savior. When Jesus came, nobody liked him. He was uncomely, as the Bible says. But you have to listen to the message that would so resonate with you. If this message resonates with you, if this message fosters in you a kind of change, to be critical. And I want to say something about being critical. You see, if their system, right, or as Martin Luther King says, edifice, right, that you cannot be critical about, then you need to reconsider your allegiance to that edifice or that system. If he even went on to say that if the edifice teaches a poor man to beg continuously, it needs to change. Yeah. Are we begging? Are the systems teaching us to beg? And as a consequence, have you been born a beggar? And if you're not, if that is not who you are, then there should be an intrinsic, inherent motivation to change that.
Yeah,
and that is what I see on this PDP campaign. Yeah. And I am sorry to those who see nothing but PDP and opposition and a bias. Yeah. This is me. When you meet me, if you do have the chance to meet me and sit down and talk about issues, this have been me. Yeah. Right? And I just want to be a part of the change. I don't care about a big work, right? And for those who don't know, I am one. I want to become a budding attorney someday, like some of my relatives, right? That is what I want to be, and no secretary or administrator could give that to me.
Yeah, you gotta work
That
for
is not who I am. I don't want nobody to give that to me, because I know, as you see, if I don't work for what I have, it could be easily taken away.
Yeah.
And I want to feel proud, just like many of you on the block, just like many of you who have gone to school and back home waiting for a job, or you realize that there's no job in the THA, but you want to start a business. But how do you begin to create the niche? There are no opportunities.
Yeah. Accessibility is one of the biggest issues.
And the sad thing about it, the other side boasts about programs and initiatives, but these things don't materialize into a robust. Look at our economy, for God's sake. We have a whole heap of programs, to educate, for trade, but you're still seeing a small number of people.
When you look at the outcome,
exactly,
it's not
getting the pie, eating a large part of the pie, and telling you to keep hard.
Yeah.
Don't worry, God is good.
It's not your time yet.
You understand? And
it's not your time yet.
Exactly.
I've
and
heard that.
it's paradoxical and sad, and I really want to talk to you, the youth, and even those who might have voted over and over and over again and say, this don't make any sense anymore. I want to encourage you, vote if you're tired. Vote if you know that the change is needed. Vote for your interests, because this is no longer about party.
No.
It's not even about Farley.
No.
It's not about Megan. It's not about Faith. It's not even about Mr. Dennis.
Yeah.
It's about the philosophy that fuels the initiatives of when the administration gets there.
Yeah, the transformation
right?
that we all
and
could see.
Exactly, and you need to begin to become critical, right, about what have been happening.
Yeah.
Right, and identify the philosophy. And if this movement, that the PDP is trying to foster for Tobago, if the philosophy thereof resonates with you and your future and is conducive to your future, vote likewise.
The thing about it is that a lot of persons see it as airy-fairy, that it is not attainable, it's unattainable. And the thing about it is that is a reflection of yourself, your own self-doubt, your ability to not be able to see beyond this fence. Doesn't mean that there's nothing beyond this fence. It's just your ability to recognize that there is something afterwards. And that has a lot to do with where people are at mentally. It has to do with the psychosis that we have been put under, to not be able to dream big, to not be able to see beyond. We are a small island, that is what we have been taught, and that is as far as it goes. We weren't taught our history, we weren't supported. We have so many creative individuals that have been shattered because they haven't been getting the support that they require to really burst and thrive. We don't promote the things that we say we do, that that deep to us, like spirituality. Like right now, more than ever, this is a time to really dig deep and connect with that inner voice, to really champion and come out and be bold and stand for what you believe in. But there's a society that promotes that, okay, you is my boss, I had to grovel, I had to beg, and you see it all the time in the THA, like while I worked there, I was like so shocked, like this is where I really wanted to come and work, where I could make a difference. And when I got there, I realized like it's literally big people with children and grandchildren groveling behind politicians, groveling behind supervisors with their tails between their legs, begging. And I am like, we don't value what we bring to the table. And if you don't value yourself, then nothing that is presented in front of you will appear to be something of worth. Because what you see is a reflection of yourself. Your perception is based on how you view yourself, how you internalize things. And that is why I've always been happy to be a part of the conversation of that identity trust. And I will always go back to that because, again, as you said, this have nothing to do with the party and Faith and Farley. We have so much more individuals that will be rising up. This is just a stimulus, you know, for what is to come, you know. We needed to have these conversations so that there's a shift in consciousness on the island with a different type of thought pattern, a different thought of how things could be done, because we had to start creating new ideas in the minds of individuals. That is just the reality. But to believe that, okay, that Farley or the PNM or the PDP is the end all, it's not. It begins and ends with the people. So what happening right now is a reflection of where the people are. The people pulling and tugging with their own selves. Do I get up and stand for what I believe in? Or do I sit down and continue just accepting what I get? I've been accustomed getting, so should I just keep with my hands open waiting for whatever fall? Or do I get up and say, no, I don't want to be a part of this no more, because this is not who I am. I am beyond this. I'm divine. I have purpose. And I am going to act on my talents. But when you have a system that is designed from preschool, primary school, secondary school, tertiary education, to be myopic, to be followers. So you get educated, but you're still a follower. You're still groveling. You're still, you know, trying to fit in. Then when you become an adult, what do you think happening? That's what we're seeing here today in our society. Persons who have never really grown out of dependency and having independent thought is something that is almost like a fallacy, like it doesn't exist. That's why they say Tobagonians clannish. But now is not the time for that. Now is the time for us to stand up and really recognize who we are as a people, identify who, you know, how we see this island going forward collectively. So it's not the myopic thought anymore about yourself. It's about the next generation. It's about your neighbor. It's about the people that you don't even know, because we share space, you know. And like I telling my mom yesterday, like during election time, all of a sudden you find neighbors not even talking to you.
It's so sad.
I telling you all it. I saying good morning, good morning, good morning, and all of a sudden I'm not getting a response. That is how toxic the energy that permeates in.
And it's counterproductive to our development.
It is.
It really is, because it speaks to the fact that, you know, because you're of a certain affiliation, you wouldn't be as loving. You wouldn't even give somebody the opportunity to really, you know, contribute, because you feel so entitled. You know that.
It's sad.
You know, you no talk to me, don't give you no opportunity, and that has been the status quo. And you know, the sad thing is that it has been, the people who are responsible have been in denial.
Yeah.
And my father used to always tell us growing up, you cannot fix a problem that you don't admit that you have.
Yeah.
You understand? And these are some of the issues, sad to say.
Yeah, just acknowledging, you know, self-responsibility, doing introspection, retrospection, and without that, you would not be able to identify your weaknesses. Like for example, again, the play park or the facility that is being built in Wim. You know, that facility has been promised to that community for over 10 years, you know, and now it's coming into fruition, and it's almost as if people must forget that election after election, you're promising that we're going to get this, we're going to get this, we're going to get this, and what it's going to do to the community. And now it's almost like, you know, you package it like a gift. It's like it's such an abusive relationship.
Let me just, you know, talk about our abusive relationship, and by drawing a story. No, I'm a sucker for relationships. I take my relationships very seriously. Anybody who knows me would tell you that. You know, Tobago is like the woman, the prized woman who does not know her value. She's beautiful, you know, she's poised, she's industrious, and you know,
she's fertile.
She's fertile.
Yeah.
And the thing is, she has been abused so many times. The only people she would give a chance is the people that she thinks she sees her worth, or give her some semblance of what her worth is, but it's not what they tell her. It's not limited to what they tell her.
That's what she knows.
And, you know, Tobagonians have been that woman for a long time. And in an abusive relationship, the man often only gives you the prize, the roses, when he believes there's a chance you would run away from him. Every time he sees that you're going to go away, he loves you up.
Yep.
He promises you. His vernacular changes, you know. But
cry, they beg.
Exactly, but from the period before you meet that change, where you're wavering to stay or not, before that period, you know, you're been taken for granted.
Yeah.
Now, this fella sang a song, Joe Thompson, for those who are R&B specialists like me. He sang, the word says, if you lose her, there's going to be a hole in your soul, and there'll be no grave great enough to bury the pain. So if you lose her, in other words, don't take her for granted, right? Don't take Tobago for granted, and Tobagonians, don't take yourself for granted. This abusive relationship, we must leave it.
Yeah.
We must leave this abusive relationship and realize that don't realize your worth only when they tell you it.
Yeah.
Right? Don't realize your worth when they give you all the tokens to stay. You know, oh, go stay, no, darling.
Gifts,
I wouldn't do it again. I'll be better.
Talk.
I'll be better this time.
The sweet talk.
I will be better this next time. You know,
my hands was tired. I was stressed.
And let me show you how the abuser does say it. You know, I mean, I wasn't myself. I just wasn't myself. You know, he just be with me sometimes. All the time. They had the power to be loving to you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only because you are wavering, you're fed up of the nonsense. You are now wanting to leave.
And then there's the psychological, you know, abuse and the verbal abuse, where they make you feel like it's your fault.
Right.
You are the cause for it. You made me do this.
Exactly.
You made me do this.
And
you are the reason why.
You would know because you're a social scientist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that is the tact that abusers use to manipulate.
Yourself. You
Exactly.
question yourself. You question your value.
And here's another thing.
Take full responsibility.
Here's another thing that they say. Abusers say to women, and I don't mean
and vice versa.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
I am the only choice.
Yeah.
You feel anybody else gonna want you? Look what I've done for you. Look at all the years I've done for you.
Yeah.
But you don't even know that is mediocrity.
Yep.
What you have been getting is subpar to your own potential and worth. You don't even realize that until
it's a driver fair.
Exactly, until somebody else really comes along and show you differently.
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle.
It's a serious
cycle. But I know Tobagonians are wise.
Yeah.
Patient but wise people. You know, and I hope that you guys see the analogy here.
Yeah, I am sure that they do, because it is so apparent. I mean, right now, a lot of persons are truly fed up. A lot of persons have come to the point where they want to see a different space, and not just, you know, based on just the change of administration, but just the physical energy that is permeating on the island. There is a stark contrast from where we were and where we are now. Even when we had less money, less development, living on this island was so much more joyful.
My father used to boast about Hot Rod Charles' work.
It real.
You could still be boastful about that.
Just going to the beach was a thing. Now, to somebody else, that might seem like nothing.
Yeah.
But the power of the beach, the healing of the beach, the way how the beach brought community together, brought families together, a space where you know, a husband and wife, or boyfriend and girlfriend, or cousins, friends, whatever, could come and laugh and play, and they would bring food and they would drink, and you know, and whole day you on this beach. We didn't even have facilities then, and you're ponging almond, you're eating almond, you're eating sea grapes. Those were experiences that are priceless. And even if after we have gone, you know, where we see some infrastructure happening, you're not feeling that connectedness to the space that you live in. And you see, once infrastructure development shifts you away from that natural connection with your space, then it is not development. It's
It's
crucifixion.
Correct.
It's death.
Correct.
That is what it is, because the island and you are connected so much that you breathe life into the space that you live in. You understand? There is a divine connection with the land and the people. And when you see that disconnect, it is heart-wrenching. It is catastrophic. It is scary, because now we have children who do not even know how to eat chenet, who don't know how to climb a mango tree, who don't know how to eat a plum. They're just behind the tablet and believe everything that they see. So, like I tell people, our children is the target. This whole thing devised to get our children to be, followers, consumers, not creative, not innovative, not part of, not the mindset to create, but just to duplicate. And if you're not scared as a parent, well, I telling you, I am very, very scared. Not for mine, because I'm aware of it, and my husband and I doing everything that we need to do to structure, and we spread that message all along. But I'm afraid for other people's children. Because I can't think about mine alone. I have to think about the context of community, who we are as Tobagonians. And you're seeing it. It's scary.
So we're almost nearing the closing time. I know that this morning might not have been what many of you might have expected, but I want to build some conversations around you guys. I want to hear some of your comments, your questions. Hopefully we are, we are so able to answer your questions. So,
I think we should be.
Just want to big up some people. I see Sister Megan Morrison is watching. Good morning to Natalie Chadban, Neville John, good morning to you. Cheryl Solomon, good morning. Good morning to you. So let's hear some of your comments or questions.
And the thing is, it's important. It's important that you all understand that, we would always have independent thought.
Right.
And that is what is needed. So don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yes.
Don't be afraid or feel that, you need to have folly or faith. Or no, we are citizens, and we will give you all our honest opinions about what we feel and what we think needs to be done. Because again, our intentions is not to be on, play party lines. This is about Tobago. And we had to keep everybody intact.
Yes, good morning to Mr. I don't know if it's Mr. or Miss Minolf Mier. Good morning to you all the way from Germany. Wow, from Germany. And I see we have a comment from Miss Murray, Shirley Murray. Facts. This is a good analogy. People listen to your heart. When you are abused, you have had enough. It's time to move on. For staying on this. For staying on this is this. Yeah. Correct. We agree with you. Good morning, Mr. Minioff. Again, good morning to you. Good morning to you, Avril Duncan. Thank you guys. Share the live. Right, so we have a question from, is this a question, wife? Why Farley wants to resign from the PDP? I don't know if you're trying to,
I don't know.
stir some confusion, but I could say that we heard Farley publicly say that, from the last election, Mr. Duke made some utterances that was unbecoming and wasn't reflective of the party, based on some allegations made against him. And
that was the election before, not
January. General election 2020. 2020. And Farley would have, tried to come out and apologize on behalf of the party and so on to make things right. And Mr. Duke came out against it, and there was tension, and naturally so. And he would have admitted that he was considering tendering his resignation on that premise, because he was perplexed, he was confused, and many persons might be looking at Farley alone from one side. But I mean, can we also consider Mr. Duke's position? No, I'm not saying that Mr. Duke was right. I am one of those who disagreed with what was said, and where it was said, rather, right? But we have to look at the source as to why people behave in the manner that they do. I'm a scientist, you are as well, a social scientist, you know, and you know, we need to be careful what we do to people, you know. And again, and I'm not saying that Mr. Duke was right, but we need to also consider, you know, his feelings as well.
And the thing about it is that there was no secrecy in the Discord, and I think that is something that should be respected and valued, that there is no hidden, you know, backdoor agenda where everything, the public unaware, and you believe that everything's so honky-dory. That's unrealistic. The fact that there is at times conflict and you're able to address the conflict publicly, I think that that's the better way, the better route to go.
Right, and I said earlier, if you cannot challenge the system, you need to reconsider your affiliation.
Correct.
And I think it is more than magnanimous to have that in the public
difference
domain,
in views,
right? And that is relationship, because there's relationships are going on there.
Correct.
But they were able to come to an agreement, flesh it out. Right? We don't know what the contents of the conversations were, but you can see the result thereof. Today, you know, the party is all the more stronger for it. And I know that Tobagonians will repose much confidence in something like that. And I for me, I love that, because I too was critical about what happened.
Yeah, no false pretense.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful thing to experience.
Okay, let's read from Mr. John. And I've seen the make
back your one family in Tobago and let your people demand and not beg this government for anything.
Right, because we shouldn't be begging at all. I mean, this is our space, you know, and politicians are ordinary people vying for your representation to help you get where you want to be. Another comment from Avanel Hazel. As a Tobagonian living in the US, I see how much we love our home and want to see better for our island. I pray today for chains to be broken on our island, that we can accept progress as it comes. We deserve better, and I want to agree with that wholeheartedly. We really deserve better. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. Right? And another comment from Nita Peters. He's human and allowed to err in ignorance, and ignorance don't mean like you're loud, you're raucous. It means that the lack of knowledge, or you know, you weren't aware of the factors. But unfortunately, you know, we have come to the end of our discourse this morning. Jimmy, it was a pleasure having a conversation with you in front of all these people.
I am telling you,
I'm not
live
seeing,
and direct.
You know, but we love you guys. Thank you again to the non-voters, the undecided. Go and exercise your right. Listen to your heart. This wrongs, because I know your heart is telling you something, and change we are on the cusp of change. Be a part of it. Be a part of it. Any last parting words, Jimmy?
Be fearless. You know, I want to employ all persons to really get to know yourselves. This is a time to really connect with nature. You know, disconnect from all the distractions. You know, take a walk, take some deep breaths. You know, go to the front of the beach, get some air, just connect with nature, because what we need more than ever right now is a divine connection, and that is your responsibility. Nobody can do that for you. You have to take charge of the life that you're living in, the space you're living in. So I want to encourage independence on each and every one of you all to find the truth and to be part of the change that you want to see. We love you guys, and we see the best in you all and the potential in you all as much as we see it in ourselves. And so you all have a blessed, fruitful day. Know that you all are kings and queens, and it is time to regain your throne.
Yes. And evil don't win. You just don't vote. So this is Dwayne and Jamie from PDP Mornings. Enjoy your day.
Have a
good
blessed
day.
one. Bye.
Body lead the people now. Body lead the people now. Come on everyone, rally around Fali. PDP, 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 PDP. The man with vision, there is no competition.